I remember this like it was yesterday because I had this really great idea that I was going to give up gluten. Then I had this second great idea that I was going to hire a nutritionist to help me. Within 5 seconds of me being in her room, she said, "That's a great idea to give up gluten." I'm like, "Yeah, right?" And then she said to me, "But you should also give up other high inflammatory foods like peppers, tomatoes, and eggplant." I'm like, "Say what?" She said, "Yeah, you need to give up gluten, peppers, tomatoes, and eggplant." I was like, "Are you trying to kill me? I'm 100% Italian. And everything in my kitchen includes gluten, peppers, tomatoes, and eggplant." I couldn't begin to think for 1 second how I was going to navigate what she was telling me. I grew up in a suburb outside of Philadelphia, and almost every Sunday, we went to my great-grandmother's or my grandmother's house, and we feasted on gluten, peppers, tomatoes, and eggplant. We had peppers and eggs for breakfast almost every single day. Our family, our Italian family, wasn't much different than any other Italian family. No matter what was going on in the world, no matter who's arguing with who, and believe me, a lot of that happens, no matter what life struggles were happening, when we sat down at a meal, all was right with the world. I live with an often invisible disease. I am lucky enough to have secondary progressive MS. And by 2001, I became legally disabled. By 2011, when I sought the help of a nutritionist, my life was desperate. I had lost bilateral use of my hands, which is the highest form of disability a human can have. I had trouble swallowing, which is what kills most of us with MS. I had full-time help, people living with me, and my funds were running out. I needed to use food as medicine. It was my last chance. I was facing homelessness, institutionalization, or I was going to take my own life. This, my friends, is what I call a cultural collision, when what you need to do to tap your miracle life butts up against your culture and all the traditions that you hold dear. Sitting at that table with my family sharing a meal was a tradition that I held dear. I'm not going to lie, it wasn't my first cultural collision. When I was a little girl, I worked really hard in school. I studied. I was on the National Honor Society because I wanted a 4-year degree. I worked hard, I studied hard, and my parents didn't have much. And they would have friends over all the time, and they would play cards and have coffee and cake. And every once in a while, my dad would call me into the room and say, "Tell everybody what you're going to do when you graduate from high school." And I'd be like, "I'm going to college." They'd all smile, and I thought, wow, they're really, 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 really proud of me. Until I got accepted to 3 private colleges. My father called me smarty pants and didn't really say much more than that. But my mother sat me down and she made it very clear. You're going to go to community college, you're going to take out a student loan, and like liberal arts probably isn't going to work. You need to do a trade route of study and, stay to a female role if you don't mind. But what I really want you to do is take the civil service exam, because I know people that work at the courthouse and we could probably get you a government job. I felt like my parents were more interested in me finding a husband than they were with me getting an education. So I heard them, and I went to community college, and I got a degree as a respiratory therapist. And you want to know why? Because I was smart enough to know that when I graduated with a degree in respiratory therapy, if I got a job at a teaching hospital, they would pay for my college. This, my friends, was my first cultural collision overcome. And I am here to tell you that each one of you is going to come up against a cultural collision in your lifetime. Now, did I mention I'm Italian and we love food? Because I want to talk about food again, okay, if you don't mind. The holy grail of being Italian are the holidays. If you've never gone to an Italian holiday, the season's coming up, sign up right now. Literally. Because you're going to have 7 courses, you're going to sit down for 5 hours, and you're going to feast on gluten, peppers, tomatoes, and eggplant, right? So when I started using food as medicine, I was scared to death about how I was going to navigate the holidays, which are the holy grail of our family, right? So what did I do? I went back to Italy. I took all my family's recipes, went to Italy because I wanted to learn where these traditions came from. I rewrote every family recipe with a new food as medicine flair. And then when I came back to the United States, I wrote an ebook that married the original recipes with my new food as medicine recipes. And what happened is this created a conversation between me and those that I held dear in my family, because they saw that I respected my culture so much, but I also had to use food as medicine because it was my last hope. Cultural collision, overcome. We all are going to come up against cultural collisions, always. I'm here to tell you probably more than once. And I have 5 steps for helping you to overcome your cultural collisions so that people that you love can stay close even when they have to deviate from the script. Step number 1, understand the why. Because you know, we all literally just follow traditions without even knowing. And I'm going to talk about a tradition that has nothing to do with being Italian. I'm sure every one of you think that we need to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I bet everybody here thinks that, well, you only eat certain things for breakfast and you only eat certain things for lunch, and they shall never cross. Did you ever think about the why? There's no medical reason that says that we have to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They are consumer-driven ideals only, but yet we all blindly agree to this. Understand your why. Number 2, we all mainly live a life of routine. I like to call it autopilot. When you live a life of autopilot, there is 0 room for consciousness. 0. I lived an autopilot life because when the nutritionist said to me, gluten, peppers, tomato, and eggplant, all I could think about was the food around the table. I forgot that it was the family sitting at the table together that is what mattered. It wasn't what we were eating. It was that we were together as a unit. My autopilot life removed that consciousness from me. Number 3, tap your authentic self. So often we follow social norms and cultural norms without really realizing, do we agree with this? Do we not? By tapping your authentic self, you're able to marry your culture with what you believe. By going to school, I was able to marry my culture with what I believed. Find common ground. You know, I was raised in a very provincial Italian family, and sometimes you get closed off to what's happening in the world and to what other people's opinions are. We have almost blinders on. Finding common ground is so important. By writing that ebook, I was able to show my family and the people that I loved that there was common ground between their recipes and my food as medicine life. And last but not least, we have to agree to disagree. You know, if you've ever eaten with an Italian, we put cheese on everything. I mean, literally everything, and I don't eat dairy, okay? So this is how I find common ground in my culture. Sit down to a meal. You want to sprinkle of cheese on that? No, I don't. Not even a little bit? I mean, what's it going to do, kill you? Yeah, it is going to kill me. I don't want it. Okay, not even a little bit? No, I don't even want a little bit, right? We do this song and dance every single time because we agree to disagree, and it's okay. So understanding the why, finding your authentic self, stopping the autopilot of life, agreeing to disagree, and finding common ground. I don't know if I said that in the right order, but we'll just assume I said all 5 in the right order. But at the end of the day, my message to all of you is you can overcome a cultural collision. You can turn it into an achievement. I believe in you. I hope you all believe in yourself. And I wish you all a wonderful day. Namaste.